The best piece of advice my dad ever told me was that you know the conversation is going well when the other person is talking more than you are. This can apply to many contexts. This can apply to being at a party with friends. Maybe you're trying to get someone to go on a date with you. Maybe you're on a networking call, hoping that they're gonna refer your resume and hopefully you'll get a job at this company and they'll go to bat for you. Or maybe you're talking to your manager and trying to get them to like you, so you're asking them about their weekend. And the best way to get someone to talk about themselves is to ask them questions. But you can't just be direct about the way you're doing it and just think that, okay, my dad told me that I need to get the other person talking more. I'm just going to ask one word questions that are like yes or no. No, that's not how you ask good questions. So in this episode, Matt and I want to dive deep into this crucial skill of asking questions. And it's applicable to not just networking calls and communicating with other humans, but also on social media. So, Matt, why don't you kick us off with overall how we should all think about asking good questions?
Fundamentally, asking good questions is more an exercise in curiosity than it is an exercise of going down a list of questions that you have prepared. So, just to take a networking example, which is one of the most common use cases of asking questions, students who want to land a consultant job or an investment banking job. One of the things that you're told is you have to network with a lot of professionals. So, students often prepare for these calls by coming up with a list of, say, 5 to 10 questions that they want to go through, like a checklist. But I think it's really important to realize, yes, it's good to be prepared, and it's important to have a mental checklist of questions that you may want to cover or certain topics that you want to ask this person about in order to learn about their company. But that's not actually what is going to lead to a good conversation necessarily. What leads to a good conversation, as you alluded to, Daniel, is getting the other person to talk more than you about a topic that they're interested or excited by. Now, how do you achieve that? You don't necessarily achieve that by asking 5 questions that are completely unrelated and jumping from one to the next. You do that by first trying to identify the topic or area that this person is really interested in. And then once you identify that, you dig deep. You go from 10,000 foot level, which is where you started, and you really drill down to like 10 feet above the ground. Now, tactically, there are ways that we're going to talk about for how you can achieve the first thing, which is first identifying what they care about, and then two, digging in once you've found that little bit of gold. But that's the mental model that I have when it comes to how to have a great conversation with someone, starting with what sort of questions should I even be asked them to begin with? Does that make sense, Daniel? And curious if you have a different mental framework for thinking about it or if you also approach it in the same way.
I approach it in the exact same way. Because if you both start off with different sets of knowledge, you're not going to be able to get down to that 10-foot level. For example, if you were to be networking with someone that you want a job in investment banking with, and you just see their profile on LinkedIn that you both went to the same school, their LinkedIn profile is not a true reflection of who they are because they probably haven't posted a lot on LinkedIn. Their profile may be like half updated, and it just a social media profile doesn't get who you really are. It's one snapshot in time of what you were thinking. And even with that one snapshot, you're so much more than a LinkedIn profile. I might not put on my LinkedIn that I'm running a half marathon, or the person in investment banking might not put that they like consuming a bunch of different protein bars every day and love reviewing protein bars at the office, or on some health kick, or maybe something not health related. Maybe they just got married. All these questions are probably not on their LinkedIn profile. And it's important to be on the same page so you can then drill deeper to understand why they like reviewing protein bars, what protein bars they like, or anything else that can help you resonate with the other person and also have a more meaningful conversation.
100%. I think you covered it quite well. The way I think about it from my perspective is when you're first trying to figure out what this person cares about, assuming that you didn't know that already going into the conversation, what you want to do is you want to first ask some fairly high level questions because these are really feelers to figure out what this person may be potentially able to talk more about or wants to talk more about. So, for example, if you first start by asking someone about their 2-minute story, like, tell me about how you ended up at the firm that you're at today, or tell me about like the events that led you to make the decisions that you have made today. They're going to tell you a high level story. But if you actually listen, and I think listening is a really critical part of asking good questions because you're not going to be able to ask good questions if you're not actively listening. You need to listen really hard and you're going to pick up on parts where the person maybe talks a little bit longer about the mental challenges of maybe going from a non-target school into a top consulting firm or breaking into Wall Street. And or they may spend some more time specifically talking about the group at the bank that they work at today or in the consulting firm that they work at, what type of work they focus on. If they seem to light up or they seem to sound more engaged when they're talking about that specific part of their story, that's your cue. You want to follow up with a very specific, more specific question around that specific thing. So maybe it's, hey, okay, yeah, this is really interesting. You mentioned you're really specialized in consumer packaged goods at Bain, and you've done a lot of projects on that space. Curious, is this an area that you always were interested in, or was this something that over time you found your niche and you found your interests and you built those relationships within the practice? Like, how did that happen? And then they're going to go deeper into that. Or maybe they talked a lot about how difficult it was to break into Bain from a non-target school. And so you would maybe want to dig into like the mindset and what were you telling yourself at the time when you were a student that helped you to push through even when there was no clear results yet. That's where you want to go and slowly you want to unpeel the layers of the onion. You want to think of it as like the surface layer is just getting to know them and then eventually you want to dig into some of the deeper things of like the reasons behind they made certain decisions and why they think the way that they do and that ultimately will get even deeper into what their core values are and what they care about because if you just do the 5 whys exercise which is another great framework, Daniel, that we should both talk about, you continuously ask why, like why did you do this, why did this feel like the right decision to you, why is this something that matters to you? What does that say about your values and what you care about as a person? And where do you see this going long term? Like, those are the types of questions that get people to open up and where you're going to learn the most about them. Because the worst thing you can do in a networking conversation with someone is to just stay super, super high level. Because one, you're never going to really learn that much about what they did. And you're also not going to build the same level of rapport with that other person. Because again, how you build a strong rapport with someone, how you get them to feel like the conversation went really well is you get them to talk more than you. And you also get them to talk honestly about themselves. And you can accomplish that, then at the end of the conversation, let's say they were speaking 75% of the time, you were asking questions 25% of the time, and they really went deep on why they did the things that they did and where they see the next 5 years headed in their career. Like these are really personal things to them. And so they're going to feel like, wow, this is such a good conversation. And, that guy Daniel or that guy Matt, he asks really good questions. Even though he's the 20th student that's reached out to me, this is the first guy that's asked me why I've made the decisions that I did rather than just asking me to talk about the hours. What are the hours like in consulting, which is something he could have just Googled, right? So that's how I see it. And Daniel, I'm curious if you have anything to add to that or any reactions.
Matt, you touched on so many important things about asking good questions. And I kind of want to give a few tactical tips going deeper into some of the things you mentioned. And the first one is the five whys. And I honestly don't have a great memory, so I don't even always remember the five whys. But what I remember is that a why is a great question to ask. Because if you were to ask, what school did you go to? How many hours do you work a week? What is it like? Like, these are all generic questions. Did you go to a target school? That can be answered pretty much in one word. And it's kind of boring for the person to answer that question, and you don't get them talking more, which is really the goal of asking a good question, especially in this networking context. So the five whys are really important, and mainly just because you want to ask why to get them to talk more and also connect more on a deeper level. You're never going to be able to have a meaningful conversation with someone with yes or no answers. It just isn't how it works. Another tactical tip that I think is really important is when you're talking to a lot of people and asking them questions, they might start off a little more shy or not willing as much to go deep. And I think it's important as the question answer or as the question asker to stay more positive, to smile more, and to not let that impact you. Because you don't want to necessarily mirror the person you're asking questions to emotions. Now, you don't want to like over exaggerate and be like smiling way too much and like act almost too enthusiastic, like a fan that you're talking to this person. That's a little weird, but you do want to radiate positivity and make that person feel comfortable opening up to you. Because if you're talking to that person in a monotone and you're just asking them what it's like working in private equity, what their hours are like, and not really making eye contact with them, they're not going to want to have that deep conversation with you. And especially a lot of these people, if you're working in investment banking, you're working a lot of hours of the week and you're probably low on energy. If they're talking to someone who is radiating a positive vibe, then they're of course going to want to have a conversation with you. So, two tactical tips if I'm someone in the audience thinking, how can I ask better questions? One, I would definitely ask more why questions because that's going to get them to talk more than just asking them what school they went to. And then also being positive. You're not going to always talk to someone who is as enthusiastic about investment banking as you are, especially if they've maybe worked in it for 20 years and are tired that day. So you want to be someone that they're comfortable opening up to, and you want to ask questions that will get them to talk more. And a why question is a super easy way to do it.
I think at the end of the day, I said this in the beginning, but it comes down to demonstrating a genuine curiosity. Because what does it mean? And this is getting really down to first principles. What does it mean to be curious about another person? It means that you genuinely want to understand them. And this goes beyond career, by the way. When you demonstrate genuine curiosity in someone, that is extremely flattering to them. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if it's someone that you're networking with or if it's your friend or your like a girl that you're dating or your professor at school. One of the biggest life hacks I think that I've learned over time is if you can genuinely demonstrate curiosity in a person in your life, they will just naturally like you more. Because what does that mean in terms of how you treat them and how you ask questions to them? It means you bring a level of energy and excitement when you're talking to them that is contagious. It means that you ask questions that again don't stay at the surface and go deep. And you really dig in on the things that they care about because you're also just as excited as they are about whatever topic it is that you're talking about. And human beings, Daniel, we are such simple creatures. We are so easily manipulated. Like, I hate to say it this way, but we are so easily manipulated. Whenever someone demonstrates genuine interest in us as people, we naturally just like them more. So, if you want to succeed in your career and get promoted, get your boss to like you, if you want to have better chances of getting that girl to come with you on a second or third date, if you want to make more friends at school or you want to get on your professor's good side so you can get a good recommendation letter, like by all means, demonstrate genuine curiosity and ask them interesting questions. Ask them things that someone has probably never asked them before, and do that by simply going deep and asking the five whys. If there's nothing else that you got from this video, just demonstrate genuine curiosity, is what I'll say.
This may not make the cut, but one thing I wanted to add at the end before we wrapped is that all creators are also asking questions to their audience nonstop, whether they realize it or not. You're asking your audience to comment and like your post. Sometimes you're saying that. Sometimes you're saying it like directly, like you should go like and subscribe on this post. I mean, you don't have to have a question that's just like, will you like and subscribe? Like that is a clear request. Like that is a question, a request for action. And that's what all creators are doing at the end of the day. Like they want you to share their content. And that's what Matt and I want too. Like honestly, like you want your stuff to be seen. Every minute we're like begging the audience to keep watching our stuff or to read our LinkedIn posts. So this importance of asking good questions goes beyond just a networking concept. You know, it's like it goes beyond just getting a job. It's like if you want people to listen to you online as well, I want the creators to know that are in our audience that it's very important to practice asking good questions to build an audience as well. And a question doesn't need to just be phrased in a formal way. The I would say a lot of the best questions aren't just some template questions that ChatGPT come up with. It's something unique, something that proves you're listening. And when you're thinking of that question, it's okay to pause and prove that you were listening.
Nothing else to add there. Thanks for listening.